first of all, you have to look past what the obvious things are. And what I mean by that, and I'll keep it where I'm very comfortable. Everybody copied Topgolf. And lo and behold, they had cracks in the foundation. Nobody just saw them until it was too late. And so the smart ones are kind of taking the idea of what they like. And unfortunately, most people are saying, well, if I'll just make better food than Topgolf, or I'll just make, a better bar than Topgolf. They don't realize people don't go there to eat. They will eat while they're there, but they don't go there to eat. So as a founder, don't copy the wrong thing. And that's what a lot of people did. Big Shots Golf did it initially too, but we realized that early on. It was like, we've got to pivot. This doesn't work. Unfortunately, we didn't get that chance to make that happen, but you can't beat what you copy, I think is what Gary Vaynerchuk says.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Going Beyond the Deal podcast. Today we have TJ Schier, the CEO and founder of Smash Swing Immersive Golf. This is actually our first podcast of 2026 that we're recording. So TJ, you have the honor to be our first guest of 2026. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Well, the good news is it's probably all uphill from here for your podcast for the rest of the year.
Well, listen, I mean, I took a look at Smash Swing Immersive Golf, man. I'm wondering if we could put one in my basement. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's the higher the ceiling, the better. So that, depending on how high the ceiling is in your basement, might be a little bit much more like a regular simulator, but the taller, the better.
All right, sounds good. Well, just a quick aside, when my wife and we just bought this house, we said, she wanted a big front porch. I wanted high enough ceilings in my basement to be able to overhead press and jump. So I can jump rope in my basement. So
Gotcha.
So if I'm good, just let me know. We could get one thrown in here. It'd be awesome.
Yep, we can do from 12 to 60 feet high.
Let's go. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today. You are in a really interesting space. You've been worked in so many different things. And then now we're in Smash Swing. Let's just get a little bit of background on you, TJ. So you did share with me before we started recording that you did live your junior and senior year in New Jersey here. So we thank you for that. I believe you're in Texas now, though.
I am, correct.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, it's probably a lot warmer than it is here in New Jersey. We're in the 20s right now. So as my little heater's going on here in the studio. But give us a little bit of background on you. Where'd you grow up, TJ? Where'd you go to school?
Sure. So I went to kindergarten and junior and senior year of high school in New Jersey. In between there, I grew up in Houston, Texas. So after I graduated high school, I ended up going to the University of Texas in Austin, and I've been in Texas pretty much ever since then. And it's been many, many, many decades, as you can tell. But I ended up working for Chuck E. Cheese after I got my MBA from the University of Texas, and their corporate office is based here in Dallas. And, other than having to explain to my dad, who just paid for my education, that I was going to work for Chuck E. Cheese, which was a little bit of a head scratcher for him. It's a great company, and it's become a lot of the foundation of what I've ended up using in my life after I left them in 2001. So I was a speaker and author and a consultant for about 24 years after I got out of there. And during that time, we were franchisees for a sandwich chain. So I learned how to grow a company that ended up not really panning out financially. And so that was my business PhD, as I like to joke. Mm-hmm. And then was fortunate enough, I actually worked at Springbrook Country Club in Morristown when I was in high school, but kind of came full circle and got a job as the chief operating officer for a new golf entertainment brand that was owned by Club Corp, as they were known at the time. They're now known as Invited Clubs, but that got me back into the golf business. And we built 6 golf entertainment facilities, kind of smaller versions of Topgolf in smaller cities in 18 months. It was crazy. We went from 1 to 7 almost overnight, but we saw very early on there was challenges in that space, and there's a lot of them, from the number of the dollars, the size of the footprint, and everything. And then when the brand was sold to Topgolf, I decided to try and reinvent indoor golf, and that's what's really led me to Smash Swing and this crooked career path I've had.
Very, very cool. Very cool. I mean, I think what I really would love to focus on today, I mean, I would say the theme of the episode is the guest experience and framing a really strong guest experience. That's a one thing that I feel like, you can have a great business, you can have great products. I mean, I love Chuck E. Cheese as a kid, right? It was an
Yeah.
awesome place to go. I'll never forget, my grandmother I used to have it in her china cabinet. She used to have the tokens for me, and we would go back in and we'd save our tokens, we'd save our tickets to get that prize, and we'd go time and time
Yep.
again. You can have a great things to do, but client experience, I feel like in business, I almost feel like that might be the most important part of it.
Yeah, going back to Chuck E. Cheese, we had a slogan there: "Every guest leaves happy."
Yeah.
And again, I know people kind of laugh at Chuck E. Cheese; they don't think it's a real company. They they have been around nearly 50 years. They continue to reinvent themselves. They've just gone through a massive reinvention recently, and they really figured out you've got to evolve as a business with the customer. And competition comes in. When I was there, we had McDonald's owned a place called Leaps and Bound, and Blockbuster Video of all places owned a place called Discovery Zone. So they had way more money behind these brands. But we took a segment of what they did, evolved our concept, and put both of them out of business. And they've continued that long after I left. They do it again now. But to me, every time I look at a business, I always tell a company, because I was a consultant for a long time, what's the one liner that every employee can remember that we can rally around? And so when we became franchisees of a sandwich brand, we were the franchisor didn't have one at the time. They were very, very small, but we created it. Make the guests say wow. And so as a leader, I could get my 16-year-old employee up on up the food chain to understand, look, just make the guests say wow. And if they made a decision that wasn't correct, it was very easy. Hey, Scooter, why did locking the doors 5 minutes before close? How's that going to make the guests say wow? And so we always use that as our coaching thing. And then as that's evolved, I was very fortunate enough to consult with a brand called Pal's Sudden Service out of Tennessee, PALS. 1,100 square foot drive through only chain. They've got it 30 plus locations, but they do over $3 million a year in 1,100 square feet of drive through only. And they, no disrespect to Chick fil A, but these guys are better at what they do than Chick fil A. It's unbelievable, but
And
it was
Chick-fil-A is pretty
really
damn good. They're pretty
Oh,
damn good.
they're the best. I mean, they literally, they're up at the top echelon, but it's a different business. And I know people might say, well, Chick Fil A does 7 million a location. These guys only do three. It's a little bit different, but that group taught me how you can be relentless as a leader and very process focused, but it's all about the guest. And in their case, no mistakes in a drive through, get them out of there fast, those kind of things. And it's really evolved as we got involved with Big Shots. I learned a lot as I was an early adopter of the Savannah Bananas, and I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they this guy bought a minor league baseball team. His name's Jesse Cole. He created a whole new baseball game, but invented new rules, makes it fun. There's a time limit. It's kind of like in it is match play scoring in golf in versus baseball. They now are doing a 2 or 3 million person waiting list for tickets to get to see their traveling road show. It's kind of like a Disney baseball thing, but in their case, it's all about the fan. And when you think about competitive socializing venues, and I wrote an article about how Chuck E. Cheese gets us and many other places don't. Most businesses that are in the fun or the entertainment side, they have two customers. One's the person playing. So if you think about going to a golf entertainment facility, one person's playing, everybody else is sitting down. Well, what's the spectator experience like? And in most cases, it's not very good. When you go into a Chuck E. Cheese, there's the kid experience and the parent experience. And again, I know people are probably shaking their heads going, yeah, the parent experience isn't very good. It is now if you haven't been recently. And so I learned from the Savannah Bananas to add the spectator experience on top of that. So when you think about what we're doing here, it's multiplayer golf simulator. So instead of one hitting, everybody else sitting, this is three players in my case in my warehouse. We're building one with four. We're building one with 16 coming up soon. Everybody's playing at the same time. But from a spectator experience, the ones that aren't playing, if you have a big group, you're watching essentially a video game on a massive screen. And instead of, somebody hitting a ball out into a field and then you turn around and watch it on a TV. And so again, it's really truly understanding who the guest is, and there may be multiple types in your business, and building the experience around that.
That's really interesting. I was going to say I don't remember what the adult experience was at Chuck E. Cheese. I mean, now as a parent of a 6-year-old who was born basically 5 months or 4 months before the entire world shut down,
Yep.
and people, really weren't going to places like Chuck E. Cheese.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I don't even know what the adult experience would be. But you brought up a really interesting phrase here that I would love to hear your kind of formal definition of, but competitive socializing. I really like the sound of that. Can you explain that?
Yeah, I wish I would have invented it, but it's the term that is for concepts that have some sort of an entertainment aspect to it and a food aspect to it. And what I mean by that, if you think about a top golf's a good example. So
Mhm.
you're competing playing golf, but you're in a social environment. And there's all kinds of putting concepts that have come out now. There's darts. If you go over to London, especially overseas, you see a lot of there's a soccer concept that have come out. And so competitive socializing is kind of the segment term for these places that have some sort of activity that you'll do competitively and socially. And there's typically a bar and a food aspect to it as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's get into like the top golfs of the world and kind of what top golf is, what I know it to be, and then the difference here and why you're really excited about this. My experience with top golf, I've been there for a lot of different corporate events.
Yep.
I had a lot of fun. The thing I liked most about top golf was you didn't necessarily need to be a golfer to be able to go to enjoy yourself. But, food was okay, games were okay, experience was okay. But as a investment banker, business person, I
Hmm.
went, "Oh my God." The average everyday person couldn't own one of these places. I mean, the CapEx would be I can't even imagine. Like, if you probably know the details of it, but like if you wanted to say, "Hey, I want to open up a Top Golf in an area that's okay," there's a space to open it. I mean,
Hmm.
what would the cost be to get into something like that?
So first off, hats off to Top Golf. I have written a lot about them and their struggles, but they created a market that did not exist 20 or 25 years ago. They paved the runway for golf entertainment, and they've done by and large a good job of paving the runway. But then they ran into headwinds that were just buried for far too many years, and now it's jumping up to bite them. They spend 30 to 40 million dollars to build a facility.
Jeez.
So that's all. You got to put a lot of people through there, and God forbid the facility doesn't make it. What do you turn that into if you're the landlord? But when I worked for Big Shots Golf, we when we had bought the brand, the parent company had bought the brand. They tried the franchising route, and so they tried to take the capex down into the $15 million range, shrink it. Not make it so nice. You don't need three bars, and they took some of the elements out of it. And so we opened a few of those. There were some franchise ones of Big Shots. They're actually still out in the market even after the sale. There's been a number of other people. There's probably, I would say, 12 or 15 at least full size golf entertainment facilities in the U.S. They all run into the same problems, though. It's once you've been there once or twice, it's expensive. It's not a great value. You've already done the games. It's kind of the same thing all the time. And so they do really well year one. And then after that, their sales tank. And I don't care where the market is. The thing Top Golf has going for it is they have an unbelievable brand reputation and a recognition. So the Top Golfs of the world do a lot more revenue than the one off entertainment facilities that are out there. And a lot of them have struggled and struggled mightily. So when I was at Big Shots, we had designed a new prototype to, instead of avoid Top Golf, compete with Top Golf. And we had bought a piece of dirt in Dallas and Kansas City, and we had designed a facility that would have a shorter outdoor range. So the footprint wasn't as big. Indoor golf, which we didn't really know what it was, but it wasn't going to be simulators, and that's what this ended up becoming. And then putting turf putting and tech putting in all at once. So it was essentially going to be a golf playground.
Okay.
So turf putting's for golfers, tech putting's for non-golfers, indoor golf when the weather's bad, etc. So we had designed this prototype, and unfortunately, right as we were getting ready to start the first one, the brand got sold. And again, it made sense at 10,000 feet for the brand to get sold because The parent company of Big Shots was the second biggest customer of the parent company of Top Golf, because Callaway owned Top Golf. We were owned by Club Corp, who owns a bunch of country clubs and buys a bunch of stuff from Callaway. So the deal made sense. We and our thesis is put a box in a facility or at a golf course, and I can continue to just update the games and put seasonal games out there and bring in licensed intellectual properties like a famous movie that comes out, so people could come into the venue, play this game for a very limited time, and then a month later, it's a different set of games that you can come in there. So the activity of hitting golf balls might be the same, but what you're doing on the screen is changing. And that's where the competitive socializing venues struggle. I don't care if you're building a putting concept or a soccer concept or pickleball. You've seen a lot of those happen these days. Once you've been there, it kind of gets old. And so how do you keep the experience fresh without a ton of capital investment in there? And that's what our approach is with this approach with Smashwing.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I've been very excited about and bullish about golf because I feel like, as a kid, I grew up, obviously grew up in New Jersey. I was able, Somerset County, New Jersey had a really amazing county program. So when I got my first set of clubs at 8. Then I started playing like in a league in the summer where I'd play pitch and putt in the morning, 9 holes of pitch and putt. And then in the afternoon, I'd play 9 holes of regular golf. So I got into it at a really young age. But now as I've gotten older, our new favorite thing to do here, besides swimming in the pool, is I play bucket golf. Have you heard of bucket golf? Oh, I have to send you one, TJ. It's amazing. It's basically think of a regular sized golf club with a big fake plastic head on it like this.
Yeah.
And you have a wiffle ball, big size wiffle ball. You have a bucket with a flag in it. Getting it in the hole is hitting the ball against the bucket. If you get it in the bucket, it takes 1 point off. But in my 2 acres that I have here, I set up 18 holes. I got the beer holsters by the tee box, and all the kids, everybody wants to just play because it's just different and it's fun and it's exciting. So sorry for the quick aside.
Send me a picture of that. That's all. But if you think about golf and how it evolved, again, I worked at a country club in New Jersey in high school. The amazing thing is the 5 kids on our high school golf team, it was funny. 4 of us worked at the country club and 1 kid was a member of the country club.
Yeah.
We graduated in 1984, but we have at least every 5 years, the 5 of us played golf and kept in touch. We got our golf coach involved. We used to keep in touch with the pro at Springbrook Country Club. There's a lot of connections that are made with golf. The thing nowadays is just people don't have the time. There's not a lot of courses being built anymore. And so it's evolving, and you're seeing facilities that you see grass clippings in Arizona that's turned a municipal course into a lit par 3 course at night. And Justin Timberlake has the Threes in Greenville, South Carolina. And there's a place called Chasing Aces that just opened in Shreveport. 9 holes, artificial turf. You can go out there and play in an hour, no maintenance required, and people can get their fix. And it also introduces people to the game in a way that is way less intimidating. It's way easier to figure out, and it's more social and more fun. And indoor golf doesn't have that. Golf simulators are great for people that want to practice golf in a little small confined space, or work on their game, or when the weather's bad outside, or doing leagues in a cold market where you can't play golf in the winter. But it's not really appealing to the masses, and that's what we're hoping is you play this 4-minute game of asteroids here in our system here. People are going to hit 10 balls a minute playing this game. And again, thinking back to player and spectator experience, we designed this where the floor is sloped. There's an auto tee system where you can adjust the height of the tee, because if you've been in a golf simulator, you hit the ball, you got to go chase the ball, you got to go chase the tee. One person's hitting, everybody else is sitting. So we enhanced the player experience. But then on the flip side, and I learned this from one of the teaser videos we filmed, I asked a girl, I said, what do you like about this versus like the Top Golf in the world? And she says, at Top Golf, everybody stared at me because I was the only one hitting. She said, all of you guys, there was 3 of us hitting. You guys weren't watching us. You were watching the screen. You were watching what was going on, like in the video game. And traditional golf, first tee, everybody staring at you. Please don't hit a bad shot. Right?
Yeah.
stress. And so we're trying to remove some of those things from indoor golf. And personally, indoor golf is very non-differentiated. A simulator is a simulator is a simulator. I have 4 simulator places that are within 5 miles of my house. People just go to whatever one's the closest
Yep.
or whatever one their friends are going to. This gives the business owners something different to market and broaden the appeal. The things that we had never thought of when we started this business is perfect example is the first country club. We're doing the install in about 3 weeks. And the guy says, I want this thing launched at the Super Bowl because we are going to have a Super Bowl watch party on this big old screen that we're building in our club. And then during the commercials, we're going to flip a switch and have long drive contests and flip a switch the next time and have a closest to the pin contest. And then we'll play, asteroids or whatever. They're looking at this as a multifunction way to bring in revenue, to get people to come together. And that's really awesome for us to see how people are thinking of using this system in different ways.
Very cool. So, no, do we have any locations opened as of late?
This is our demo warehouse right now. The first one is going in at the end of January in Wisconsin. And then we have 9 or 10 letters of intent signed for 2026. I think some of them are projects to be built, so they'll bleed into 2027. But I would imagine that by the end of 2026, we will probably have 8 or 10 physical installations with somewhere around 60 to 100 hitting stations. We have a guy building a 100-foot wide indoor driving range. He's building this massive building. The screen's going to be 40 feet tall. 12 people can play. And he's building it in a park attached to a 9-hole golf course with turf greens where it's a golf starved area. And he is actually using the profits of this to fund a youth golf program in Chico, California. So
Amazing.
those are the kind of things that are really cool that we believe people are going to do with this once they see it.
So the LOIs you have signed and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
like you said, you're putting this into a country club. So is this something like we already have a restaurant, we already have a concept, we already have something here, we just want to add golf to it?
Yeah, I think we've got a few that are bespoke buildings like the one I just mentioned. We have 3 courses in Long Island that are they're public courses that are going to add this on as part of a capital improvement program that they're doing.
Okay.
We have a couple family entertainment centers like a Dave and Buster's. It's not Dave and Buster's, but a place like Dave and Buster's that are going to add this in because essentially it's a big arcade game. And I can run this, again, a simulator you rent by the hour, a bay at Topgolf you rent by the hour. This you could rent by the hour, or I can set it up where everybody just pays $3 a person to play a 4-minute video game. And then, they just go on to the next thing and people come through there. So we've got to, and then others are going to add this into the pickleball facility that they've realized pickleball courts are great for a while, but then you have too many pickleball courts after a while. Putting this in there, and then a couple golf entertainment facilities that are going to be built as well. Putting this on to cater to the golfer more so, because like you mentioned, top golfs of the world really don't cater to the golfer.
No.
Mine can be a driving range, an indoor driving range when you want it to be, or you flip a button and it's a video game. So we can cater to the golfer and the golf curious.
Very cool. Very cool. So let's talk about, just some of your, some of your leadership and culture, things that you put into this. I mean, obviously I love the customer first stuff, but what do you like? Do you have a team underneath you now that's working with you? Like how big is a team and how are you moving this ball down the field?
So we have a couple, it's kind of a friends and family investment group. We're getting ready to go out and do a Series A raise to take this to the next level. I've got a construction partner in this thing. I have our game development team is a third party company, but they've actually invested in our brand at a very, very minority interest.
Okay.
But they see the vision. Either instead of it being a work for hire for them, they can be part of this rocket ride. So they decided to do some work in return for equity in our brand, which is great because that aligns with both of us trying to move this forward. And then the installations and things like that, as we line these up for the year, it's very similar to doing a golf simulator installation. There's bunches of companies out there that do that. So we've aligned with a few partners to go out there and do those pieces of it to stay overhead light And you see a lot of startups, I have 12 vice presidents and blah, blah, blah. You know what? We're keeping this overhead light. We're trying to run this a little more like a SaaS model than a restaurant. I would love to build my own golf playgrounds, but they're going to be 6, 8, 10, $12 million. I know exactly what it's going to look like, and I am going to do them at some point. But right now, for us, we've got to get the technology out there to get the demand for it. Because I guarantee you, once we put a few of these out there, the big box landlords are going to come to us and go, turn my Sears into this, turn my big box vacant space into this indoor driving range with putting and entertainment. And that'll be the right point for that. And that's when we'll really have to kind of gear up the team. And that's when we got to start working on our own concept. Right now, we're really, a vendor for somebody and a product to be putting into their facility.
Very cool. Very cool. So, do you mind getting into the costs of like what is it? What does something like this cost
Sure.
if you wanted to do this kind of thing? Because I mean, we have a lot of different listeners. The one thing I've kind of come to realize is I have a lot of people within my network that are always looking for, hey, I kind of want to do something new. I want to do something
Hmm.
fresh. So putting this out there would be very, very helpful for you, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I'm very I'm very active on LinkedIn because, again, we're building who we are way before there's a bunch of them out there. I'm not on TikTok and Instagram with this yet because I'm not business to consumer. We will be soon, but we're really business to business. And I have a feeling some of your listeners are going to choke on the cost, and other ones are going to go, I get it. So to give everybody a frame of reference, if somebody puts a commercial grade simulator, like when you go to a place like a Five Iron or one of your local golf simulator places, the cost of one of those is roughly $50,000 to $100,000 a piece, depending on the brand and the bells and whistles you get with it. But call it 75,000 in the middle. Ours is fits in the footprint of two golf simulators, but I can have four people hitting. So it's going to monetize a lot better because I can run it like a driving range. I can run it like an entertainment facility. I can use it for multi-function meetings with a much, much, much bigger screen. Our four-player system's around 200,000. So we're on the high end of somebody buying two simulators. Now the 12-player version uh, with a 40-foot screen, my projector costs go up significantly to put images up that are 100 feet wide and 40 feet tall. Those things will be in the seven or $800,000 range for a system like that. But imagine just building a tin building, putting this in there, and putting a bar with a little bit of kitchen in there. You've got a concept for probably $1.5 million that will do more than that in annual revenue in a warehouse somewhere in a densely populated city that's a golf oasis. There's nothing to do. And
Yeah.
we believe those are going to be where the opportunities are for the people that strategically figure out how to kind of reinvent indoor golf with us.
I think you're also attacking something that's been very, like you said, there's so much ab I don't want to abandon, right? Abandoned commercial real estate,
Yep.
at least here in New Jersey. I mean, like you said, the Sears, the old Lowe's that's there. You were laughing, you were saying before I was laughing, you were talking about, what do they do with these golf things that don't work out? There's a bunch of them in out where in Hunterdon County, Flemington area, New Jersey, that are now tree farms. Like they still have the
Hmm.
netting up, and then they have
Yeah.
trees planted in the
Yeah.
but I love these concepts of taking something and then repurposing it. We have here in New Jersey, in Monmouth County, we have two of them. Bell Labs, the big,
Yeah.
Bell was a huge thing. They've repurposed these old Bell Labs office things to be office suites above, and then on the ground floor, it's almost like a mall,
Yeah.
restaurants, all different stuff. But it's like, what are we going to do with all this old office? Nobody's going into
Hmm.
the office as much anymore. You need a very small space. I think that this is a nice thing that could fit into it. So the majority of the people that are putting these things now, the LOIs you have, they're just for the
Hmm.
four space four box locations.
It depends on the facility that's being built. Most of the golf courses are opting for that 3 to 4
Okay.
size. There's two larger, what I call indoor driving ranges. So there'll be 12 to 16 players. And then like the family entertainment center ones are going to be 3 to 4, just kind of depending. It's a lot of it depends on their building because in a typical retail establishment, the structural columns are roughly every 28 to 30 feet.
Yeah.
So I need like 24 feet to do 3 players. I need 32 feet to do 4. So a
Okay.
lot of it just depends on where the columns are.
Very cool.
If you're building a bespoke building, it's easy. But
Okay.
we've had conversations with movie theaters that have really tall ceilings, and they have a lot of vacant theater screens these days. A little bit challenging. What do you do in the back part of the theater? But hotel ballrooms that, they just aren't used a lot. Convention spaces, they've got taller ceilings. So it'll be very interesting, I think, once we get these first couple going and people really see that it is in a facility and it is happening. Nobody wanted to be first. Luckily, I found a guy at a golf course in Wisconsin that wanted to be first, and so he's going to get the benefit of being an early adopter.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I'm really looking forward to kind of keeping up with this whole journey and following along. I'm excited for it to all kind of come to fruition so that we can see it. So let's talk about, like, where are the markets that you're really targeting this? I mean, you're in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
obviously very popular place to live now. A lot of people that we know from the Northeast move to Texas, Florida, et cetera. What markets are you really going for with this?
We're actually letting everything come to us. We believe that the ideal scenarios for these are more in the Northeast, the Midwest, Canada, the cold weather climates where they have a longer winter golf season need.
Yep.
But Phoenix, who wants to play golf from like May to September in Phoenix, out or be outside?
Yeah.
We've had a lot of interest overseas. There's not a lot of land in a lot of these places.
Yep.
There's a lot of, the Nordic region is very cold. The Middle East is very hot. And so we've had a lot of conversations. We're in conversations with the RNA, who essentially runs all of golf outside of the United States, because they see this as a way to get people into the game. And it's a bridge and a step into eventually getting into a green grass golf course. So we're trying to focus in the US primarily, but our vendors are all worldwide, and we've through the miracle of LinkedIn and the internet and everything else, we're getting contacted from people in Norway and Finland and all these places because they're looking for something different, because they have a need different than in Dallas. It's going to be 70 degrees today. Nobody wants to be indoors hitting golf balls. They want to be outside.
Yeah.
So the need will be a little bit different in the different areas.
Very cool. Very cool. So what is some of your, because we're going to be wrapping up in a second here. What's some of your
Yeah.
best advice for founders that are looking to build an experience-based business like this?
Well, I think first of all, you have to look past what the obvious things are, and what I mean by that, and I'll keep it where I'm very comfortable. Um, Everybody copied Topgolf, and lo and behold, they had cracks in the foundation. Nobody just saw them until it was too late. And so the smart ones are kind of taking the idea of what they like, and unfortunately, most people are saying, "Well, if I'll just make better food than Topgolf, or I'll just make
Yeah.
a better bar than Topgolf." They don't realize people don't go there to eat. They will eat while they're there, but they don't go there to eat. So, as a founder, don't copy the wrong thing. And that's what a lot of people did. Big Shots Golf did it initially too, but we realized that early on. It was like we've got to pivot. This doesn't work. Unfortunately, we didn't get that chance to make that happen. But you can't beat what you copy, I think, is what Gary Vaynerchuk says. The
Yes.
Savannah
Yes.
Bananas is a perfect example. People looked at this guy and said, "You're not real baseball." Well, he's not, and he's got a ticket waiting list for 2 million fans. He plays all over the U.S., sold out everywhere. Who cares if it's not baseball? He took something that was existing, did something better, and turned it into something that people laughed at initially, but now they're all patting him on the back. And I think those are some of the things that are tough. I think the one thing I learned here was I wanted this to be out a year ago, and we got so much feedback, and I'm glad we did. And then we looked at it and took a step back and said, it's not ready for public consumption yet. And we kind of reformulated what it was, because we were going to go chase movie theaters. Well, they have no money to invest. Somebody else told us to go chase family entertainment centers, and they wanted a whole bunch more games. And then I was in the golf community. I had a bunch of golf people saying to us, "Man, we have no problem with the price tag of this thing, but I need it to do A, B, C, and D." So we realized, not initially, but that a year into this thing, wow, the golf course is our initial customer, or the golf community is our initial customer. Let's build what they need so that we can go do that first. So we did have to kind of take a step back, tap the brakes. It's not fun to be sitting there for a year without a sale, but it's going to help us out taking that step back to move forward.
Very cool. Very cool. So I like to ask this of all my, the guests that we have on the show. We call it the $1 million question. When you look back on your journey, personally or professionally, what's
Yeah.
one moment that felt really small at the time, but ended up changing everything for you?
Ooh, that's a good question. There's a bunch of them, but I'll tell you the one that I think played out the most here. So we were sandwich franchisees of a brand called Witch Witch, and I think at one point they probably capped out in the 400 locations, and they're not at 400 or anywhere close to that right now. I complained a lot about a lot of things there that went on, but the one thing that I think back when I went into the very first Witch Witch, branded cups. Everything was branded. You walked in there and it looked like a chain, right? How many times have you gone into a restaurant and it's definitely a mom and pop? It's definitely a one off. And in talking to the founder, I said, boy, how many of these locations are there? I'm surprised I've never heard of this brand. And he says, this is it. There's one. I'm like, you have solo logoed cups. I mean, those are expensive to do. And he says, look, when you do a brand, when you have one, you got to do it right. And so, like when we did Smash Wing, that is the one thing. I've got brand logo everywhere. They're on the golf balls. We do custom clubs. They're on our clothes and those kind of things. And that was one thing in 2006 or seven when I met them. I didn't know was going to be a consequential learning in my life, but it really has taken hold with what we're doing here.
Interesting. So and I guess, is that part of the client experience? Is that what that really, you feel it's that important for it?
I like when people walk into this demo warehouse, and I know you can't see them, but they walk in there and they go, "Holy bleep!"
Yeah.
Right? It's like, how many of these are there? Because people think it's expensive to get logoed golf clubs or logoed swag, or I've got logoed curtains on the side you can't see here. We did the first one right.
Got it.
And this isn't even the first one. This is a demo warehouse. It's not even open to the public. But as an example, this first location that we are doing, I am putting some extra stuff into this one at my cost that I'm not charging the customer for, because when the people go in there, or the people that come see it, my future customers are going to walk in there and go, holy bleep, you can push a button on an iPad and it goes from this to that to this to that. No other simulator place does that. And I want the people, instead of saying, wow, your thing is expensive, they look at it and go, oh, that's not really indoor golf at all. It's so much better. And that's the Savannah Bananas versus baseball example. I want people to walk in there and realize, holy cow, this is different and it's better. And they don't get so hung up on the price because they go, I can't get this anywhere else. This is the best there is.
Got it. And I'm sorry, I know we were going to wrap up. I just have to ask, what is the cost for, I'm going to come in there. I always have been kind of surprised by the price of and the cost of Top Golf. By the time you get in there,
Mm-hmm.
you get the food, you get the drinks, you get everything. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. Okay. What is something like this going to run you?
To come in here, so it's going to be different. Like in a country club, they're going to let everybody use it as a driving range for free. It's a 4-station indoor driving range. In the Chico Golf, California of the world, it's going to be $20 an hour to come in and hit balls. Just similar to what you would do at a golf driving range. When you go into entertainment mode, it'll be an all you can play kind of $20 an hour per person, but you'll rotate through the games. There'll be a little bit of waiting because, again, you hit 40 golf balls in 4 minutes, you're going to want to take a break.
Yes. Yes.
And so this will monetize significantly better than a typical golf simulator where, again, you pay $50 an hour for 6 people. Well, that's under $10 a person. Yeah, but you hit like 8, 10, 15 golf balls in an hour. This is a different approach. And we believe that's going to, again, it's going to take a little bit of learning. I've had a lot of pushback from people that are like, yeah, I don't get it. Good. I'm glad you don't, because we're over here and you're over here, and you'll come our way a little bit.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for joining us, TJ. People should follow you on LinkedIn. You said TJ Schier.
Yeah, so you follow me on LinkedIn. My name's on the screen there. I've got a tjschier.com, which is my speaking and consulting website. I don't do a lot of that primarily these days, especially on the consulting side, because this has taken so much time. But I've enjoyed speaking at a lot of golf technology conferences these days, and it's been fun to kind of put the passion of golf and the passion of speaking together. But our website's smashswing.golf if they want to see more about the product and the site itself.
Very cool. We will have that all in the show notes. And then if you could just forward with us, how can people reach out if they're interested in, putting these in one of their own towns? That would be great.
Yeah. TJ at smashswing.golf. Simple enough.
Let's
They can
go.
get in touch with us and we'll hook them up.
Let's go. Well, thank you for going beyond the deal with us today with our new friend, TJ Schier. Hope that you have an amazing day, and let's continue to build something meaningful together. Take care, everybody.